Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with communities in other localities around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian Madeline Lawson, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Tappahannock, Virginia for the 22-23 Rotary year. Welcome, President Madeline, to the Rotary Times Show.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here today so that you can share some of the great things that Tappahannock is doing in Virginia. We hear a lot of good things here. I'm in Northern Virginia, so I'm hearing all the good stuff. So I want our viewing audience to be able to learn some of the things that you're doing there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. To get us started, I'd like to have our audience know a little bit about our guests. So why don't you tell us about your background and your life before Rotary?
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you for the opportunity to appear on your show. I'm a native of Virginia. Lived in Essex County. I grew up in Essex County, and I moved away a number of years ago to attend Howard University. And of course, I only returned back part-time in 2009 to purchase a home, a part-time summer place. Just in the last 6 months, I moved here permanently. And during my career away, after graduating from Howard University, I had a very successful career both in the public and private sector, working for Howard University. I worked for several nonprofit organizations, also founded my own health institute, the Institute for Multicultural Minority Medicine, which is still ongoing. And I just recently retired and took on a consultant role when I came to Tappahannock.
Wonderful. So did I hear you say you are a bison?
I am very much a bison.
All righty. Welcome to the family. It's great to hear that. How did you get involved in Rotary, and why did you join the Tappahannock Club?
Well, I had heard about some of the work that the Rotary Club was doing, but I was approached by the late Norman Woods, who was a very distinguished retired general and a past president of the Tappahannock Club. And he invited me to have lunch with him, and he said he wanted to bring me into the club. And so I did. And it was really a great opportunity. I hadn't been in very long before we lost him. And so that's been a real disappointment to us all. But General Woods was really the person responsible for introducing me to Rotary.
Well, we thank him for that. And somewhere we know he's looking down on you and just proud of you today. So it's great to hear.
I do hope so.
Yeah. So tell us about the Tappahannock Club, its size, when you meet. Give us a little bit of background about the club.
Sure. Well, right now our club is up to 57 members. Mm-hmm. We just recently, within the past week, we took in an additional 6 new members. We took in 7 members in July, and 6 in July and 1 in August. So since July 14th, we have taken in 14 new members. And so our focus is on certainly increasing our membership and making certain that we're also very diverse and that we practice the diversity, equity, and inclusion model that is being promoted throughout Rotary.
Oh, absolutely.
We meet at a Prince Street Cafe. We had just started to meet there when we had this devastating fire in Tappahannock in July, and the restaurant was destroyed by the fire. And a couple of months ago, the owner relocated, and so we're back meeting there. We have meetings every week, but they're different type of meetings.
Okay.
It's a different kind of schedule from the way the club had been meeting normally. There's a committee meeting one week, that's a business meeting. There's a community service project, and we have a social networking week, and then we also have a week for families,
Okay.
the Rotary and their families outing.
I
So
love
each
that.
week there's something different to engage the members and the community.
I love hearing that, the diversity that you have, not just in your membership, but in your programming as well.
Right.
It does meet the needs and the requirements and expectations of Rotary, so that's all great to hear. Tell us about some of your major service projects that you all are involved in, because it sounds like when you do a service project a week, that means you're doing many service projects throughout the year.
Sure. Well, we really do a lot of collaboration. We have partners. One of our partners is the Tappahannock Main Street, and so we want the third Thursday, third Thursday of the month during the summer months. The Main Street has events for the community in the park, and we partner with them to launch those events. We also partner with the Essex Museum and Historical Society and support their work with the museum, which is really a historical landmark for the community that reaches out to all age groups to attract people to the museum. We also do work with the Led with Lewis Medical Clinic, free clinic in town, and we have supported their fundraisers and also collaborate with them on events like the 5K run, Bunny Hop, which is held in the spring of the year. We also had social events, concerts in the winter, harmony, the heart music harmony with the youth concerts that again is involved with the entire community.
Wow.
So a lot of what we do is a collaborative effort with other organizations within the community.
Sounds really, really wonderful. Sounds like you really are involved in your community. Do you complete maybe a community assessment? Because your activities are so diverse, are you doing assessments in the community to find out what the needs are and then you all respond?
That is something, I am now, 6 months in as president. And that's one of the things that it's needed. And I hope that we can at least get that going and will benefit perhaps the next president that comes in to really have a complete assessment of the needs of the community. It's a little difficult to get some of these things done within 1 year.
Yeah.
You come in and you're really on a time schedule to try to accomplish so much, and there's so many needs out there, and you don't want to ignore those events and activities that are already underway. So you're trying to keep those moving forward, while you also try to look at institutionalizing some of the new initiatives. So it's a lot to take on within 12 months.
Wow.
And if there's one recommendation I'd like to pass on, is that I hope we will at some point look at 10 years so much longer than 1 year for elected people.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. We do have clubs in the district where the presidency is a 2-year term. So you're absolutely right, because 1 year, it's a jam-packed year. I would agree with you there, but you seem to be handling it, and that's what's important.
We're trying.
Let's talk about your tenure as president. Do you have any plans to institute something new under your presidency as that legacy that you want to leave behind?
I do. There are a couple of major initiatives. One, of course, has to do with the diversity, equity, and inclusion. I said in the very beginning that I wanted us to focus on increasing our membership, but also look at the diversity of the members that we recruit and bring in to the club. When I came into the club, there was one African-American male and one African-American female, no other persons of color. And I'm pleased to say that today we have changed that since July 14th. with the 14 members that we've now brought in, that we have representation from not only African Americans, but Latino, Asian, and younger Caucasian women as well. And so that's one of the things that I really want to increase, and hopefully we will increase those numbers even higher before the end of June.
Gotcha.
I've set a goal of 25% increase in membership, and already I think we've exceeded that percentage. So we will continue, but not just focus on increasing membership, but also re-energizing the existing membership
that you have.
You have to look at how you can bring the two together. You bring in new people, younger people, and the ideas are definitely somewhat different from members who have been in for many years, who believe that that is the way to do certain programs and certain activities. So our challenge is, how do you bring the two groups together? How do you find a happy medium? It's not easy to do that, but it does require a lot of work on both sides to try to accomplish that. If we can keep everybody focused on the fact that it's about the club and not about the individual, then I think we'll eventually accomplish that.
That sounds well, before you keep going, let me say, that sounds like real transformational leadership that's happening down at Tappahannock. So,
well, I don't know. We're trying, but I don't know. It's not easy.
You're doing great, because it sounds like you all, when you started, I said, oh, they have some wonderful things going on there, and you're moving the club in a way that becomes very impactful for the community. So we're glad to hear that. But talk a bit about the vocational service programs that you have.
Well, the vocational service is one course that, when I came in as president, I didn't see major initiatives, but what we're trying to do with our committee is also, and as well as the other committees, is, and this is all a part of this DEI, how do we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion across the board? Look at it in terms of the membership, recruitment of members to the club, but also in our service, our outreach to the community, and the services that we provide to the community. And so another new initiative that I have taken on is the Legacy of Leadership. And this is a project where we will honor all of the past presidents of the club. We will also document the history of our club, because we do not have a clear record of the history. So there will be a documentation of the history, and we will close out with a major event. And that major event, gala, will include the community. And it will happen, of course, in a month where it's the month of March, which is Women's History Month. And so we're going to include organizations, some of those that partner with us now, but other community organizations, so that there will be not only a demonstration of our recognition of our leadership and the impact that the Rotary has made in the community, it will also demonstrate the impact that we're having with those community groups. So it will be both internal and external. And for me, that's one way to really demonstrate our commitment and our the challenges that we're facing, but also our plan to bring about diversity, equity, inclusion within the community.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. We're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Madeline Lawson. Please stay with us.
We are this close.
We're this close.
We are this close.
Of wanting
to making history.
This close to changing the world.
We're this close.
This close. This close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
ever again. This close.
We are this close to ending polio.
Ending polio. All we need is you.
This close.
If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolionow.org.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian Madeline Lawson, who's the president of the Rotary Club of Tappahannock, Virginia, for the 2022-23 Rotary year. President Madeline, my goodness, that first half was so wonderful. You offered so many things for our listening audience to think about as they or your colleague members who are watching, to think about the things that you're doing. And I love your legacy of leadership and invite you back at another time to talk more about that. That is very perfect. So at this point, now tell us something about your international service programs.
Our international committee, working with our foundation chair, the foundation club foundation chair, we're looking at how we can increase members' participation in the Polio Plus. In fact, recently we joined a couple of us were chartered members, founding members of the Polio Plus Society, and so our members have now taken on our challenge, to join the society as a chartered member before December 31st of this year. And we're doing this as a lasting tribute to a 50-year member, Tommy Newman, who passed away just a few weeks ago, and who was really the member who introduced the Polio Plus program to the East, to our district. And so that's one that we're focused on. We have members who are members of the Paul Harris Society, Paul Harris Fellows, and we are focused on trying to increase our members' participation at the international program level. We've had members who provided support to Ukraine during a disaster, but we are working to see how we can increase those numbers, and also to increase the percentage that we contribute annually to the Every Rotarian Every Year fund.
Thank you for that. I was at that foundation meeting when this new society was announced. And
Right.
in addition to Rotarian Tommy, our past district governor, Pat Borowski, is also, whose mother, I believe, was a polio survivor. I know, so this is very meaningful to her as well. So we just want to make sure that we're continuing to
Yes.
support and uplift those around the world. So thank you for sharing what you are doing. Talk about a project that you've engaged in that you've been personally involved that's meant a lot to you, and why?
Well, I'm really a volunteer at heart. I have been engaged in public service work most of my adult life, and so if I'm giving back, it's important to me and it's meaningful. With the Rotary, I've found that our annual port feast, which is a fundraising initiative for the club, I find that that's one that provides a lot of enjoyment, because one, not only are we raising funds, but it's also a community event where so many people from the community come together. They could come and join us in person and sit and chat and have dinner, or they could pick up their dinner and take it home. And many of them stay to engage with members of the Rotary and have an evening out. And so I think it's a great way to connect and to engage with people in the community. It was so important when we had the first one after the pandemic, because members of the community had been home for so long. They were just so elated to be out again. And it was just like that event was really a homecoming for many. And so it's a great event, great community event, and I see so much fun in doing that.
Great, good to hear. Service above self, Rotary's motto. Has this been helpful to you in conducting your business or your work life, or just your personal life?
Well, it is important to me, but I think, it's really a part of who I am. I think the Rotary, hearing it in Rotary, perhaps kind of emphasizes it or keeps it front and center. But it really is who I am, and everything that I try to do. I try to think of others and the impact that it will have on them. And so, yes, so it is important, and I do think about it. Yes.
You know, I've listened to you as a transformational leader. Talk to us about, given the new normal that we're actually operating within, which is very different from pre-pandemic, how can Rotary, as a organization, help to grow, nationally? We know internationally the numbers are growing. Here in the U.S., we are still somewhat flat. What would you recommend or suggest?
I do think that we need to look at we have a lot. We're doing a lot. Good things, outstanding, extraordinary programs and projects throughout Rotary. But I think for some people it could be a little overwhelming. And so I think we have to take a look at how do we work with clubs to try to center on programs and projects that are really important in their community, and if they really have the support and resources to get those things done. At the national district level, there's some staff and support. When you get into the communities, into the clubs, and there may be a few exceptions, but they're all volunteers. There is no staff person to see that a project gets done, or to follow up or follow through, for that matter. There's no one that you can just give the plan to and ask that they implement it. Everything is done by a volunteer. And so these are persons who carry many levels of responsibility of their own, professionally or otherwise. And so it's a juggling, it's a struggle for many, I think. How do you accomplish everything that that's put before you to do? It's especially when you're trying to attract younger members who, from the outset, come in with responsibilities from young families and other demands on their time. So I do think we should look at how we can provide some level of support to clubs that help them to kind of get a little more centered on what is critical within their community. If we throw everything their way and everything is considered a priority, it really is kind of a challenge how you juggle all of these demands that come daily.
Absolutely.
And they're great. I mean, they're great demands, but it's quite a challenge. So I think we need to look at how we can help the clubs to manage this process.
And you said something a minute ago about young people coming in. Does your club have an onboarding process of some sort that brings those new members in, whether they're young or whatever the age, that gets them acclimated to Rotary? Does your club have that in place?
We're developing that now. We don't have it, but we're developing it now.
Okay.
Because bringing in new members is so important. I really, that's a priority for me. And so the membership chair has been charged with developing this, and he's working on it so that we will have a program even for those who have already come on board. Beginning the first of the year, we hope to have onboarding program in place.
Yeah, because you said you all took in about 14 since this summer.
Right, that's right.
That's wonderful. That is absolutely, you could serve as a model. As we close the program, what message would you like to leave to those young professionals who may have a heart for giving, but not necessarily sure they want to do this Rotary thing? What message would you tell them?
I would say to them that there is no more service, no more service group than you could find in Rotary. I think it's an organization where you feel so much a part of. You have friendships, you have a social network, and you find persons that have similar professional and social interests, and you accomplish so much together. So I think it's a great opportunity. I think they can see this as a way, it's not a club, while the words that have been around, that it's a club of older persons. There are a lot of, names have been thrown around over the years of how you will characterize who the makeup of who represents the Rotary clubs. But I think the younger members need to know that this is a tremendous opportunity to become involved and make an impact, not just within the local community, but globally.
Absolutely.
And if you have so much to offer, this is a great way to share that with the world.
Well, thank you, President Madeline, for your thoughts, your ideas, your passion for Rotary. It certainly comes through, and we're glad that you were here to share that with us today. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for inviting me. I hope that I shared a few words that will be some support to others.
Yes.
And I look forward to having you to come and visit us at some point before the end of June.
I promise you, I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of past District Governor William Glenn Yarborough of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a service project. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some hybrid format. You only need to look us up for details. Remember, our time is your time, and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 117 years of service above self.